Hi, folks. Welcome to Just Folks Conversations with Emma, and I'm Emma. Boy, I have to take a deep breath on this one. Every guest that I've had so far has been someone of major talent, major gifts, people who have a spiritual journey that they're more than willing to share with us. And so I'm always in awe of how it keeps getting more and more powerful in terms of who shows up next. Well, now I really want to introduce you to a young lady who is really going to take your breath away. And I encourage you not only to sit down with a cup of coffee or tea or whatever it is, get comfy, sit back, relax. You're going to probably want to watch this one a couple times. We have today Tiffany Trueblood. Tiffany came into my life as a member of One God, One Thought Center for Better Living a few years ago. And she shared with our church her gift for singing. And on many a Sunday, the entire congregation would just sit transformed and transfixed by her ability to take lyrics and infuse them with the honesty and integrity, not only that the composer may have intended. We really felt like we were getting a direct blessing through Tiffany, and that has not changed. If anything, she has become even more powerful in developing her talent. She has a phenomenal voice, but she's also a very creative spirit. So I'm going to stop talking about what she is and simply say, hi, Tiffany, welcome, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, sister.
Oh my goodness,
You're
this is
very
a treat.
welcome and thank you for having me.
You are more than welcome. I'm just thrilled. And as I said, when we talked a little bit before, my fingers are tingling with excitement. I'm feeling, excitement here because you have done so much. You're so accomplished. Could we just do a little bit of a background on how you got started? Just, a little bit from your childhood and to, where you are now.
Absolutely. So I started singing at 5 in front of an audience. And it was because when I was 4 years old, my mother, she's a pastor of a church, Grace Deliverance Tabernacle. She still is. It's been 42 years. My mom's been pastoring the church. So
And
that's where I
what town
started.
is that? What town is that?
Oh, in Salisbury, North Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah. So I used to beg my mother at the age of 4, Mama, can I please sing? Can I please sing with the choir? So when I was 5, she used to hear me singing a song around the house called God Goes With You Everywhere. I have no idea who the author is, but I used to sing it all the time. And I begged my mother, could I sing it? So she gave me a chance at the age of 5 to sing. And I sung it. She saw that I wasn't shy, and ever since, whether we had a choir or not, Tiffany Trueblood was singing at church.
Mhm.
And then shortly after that, she placed me in a college children's choir. And that's where I began to receive my first group classical voice training. And just I stayed in choirs all throughout elementary, middle, high school, and even in college. There was a time I took a couple years break because I had more in me than gospel, and I felt pressured at one point to sing only gospel because of my mother being a preacher. And so I stopped singing when I moved out and
Okay.
went to college. And I stopped singing, not immediately, but after the university choir at Winston-Salem State University in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, go Rams.
Mhm.
I took like a good, like a little couple of years break. And then I worked on my first album, which I never released. It was another 7-track album. Um,
You- Why didn't you
mhm.
release it? Well,
It was just something me and my brother did together. He produced the whole album, and I was testing my writing skills. I started writing poetry in middle school, but this was my first time actually putting words on paper for a song. So I just wrote songs mostly throughout college, and I was in a singing group eventually. I got into a singing group in college. And I also made my first album with my brother. I just called it The Demonstration. I actually still have a hard copy of the CD somewhere around here. And some people from back in the day still have it too. But I wouldn't say that it's industry quality for me to release, because we were working with old equipment and recording in the garage, the train going by, stuff like that. So I never released it, but it really showed me what I'm capable of. And so I didn't release this one either, but I did post some songs on Reverb Nation back in 2009. And that was just another demo because I was working with a company at the time and the business kind of fell through, but I had music prepared professionally. But this time this is special to me because fast forward to current times that we're in now, 2020, I was very productive. And I finally released my single Wake Up, which is doing really well. It's on all music platforms and on YouTube. And then, of course, the album that I recently released on February 12th, 2021, called Awakening. So, yeah, that's my story.
You have had a very busy period. And in between all the music, you've also been developing some of your other gifts and talents. Would you like to talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. So in 2014, I started Joy Centered Wellness. My middle name is Joy, spelled with an I, Joi. So joycenteredwellness.com. And I recently created my social media for it finally in 2021. But I started it back in 2014. I did a couple of wellness workshops. I was just really intrigued by holistic wellness. And I started self-studying in 2010 to really just improve my own health. But then I'm like, wow, do people know about this stuff? And so I just found a passion for it and kept growing in it. So in 2017, I became a Reiki master because, I believe in, spirituality, meeting science, bringing it together, merging it. So, Reiki is just energy healing. And I became a Reiki master in August of 2017. And I recently, in October 2020, completed a herbalist certification program, and I received my certificate recently in the mail. I received my certificate. So yay, I'm an herbalist now too. So that way I can offer, services. And right now I revamped it to where I don't really do workshops at this time anymore. I just do wellness assessments, like by phone or video call. I'll do like holistic assessments or distance Reiki.
Okay, well, let's go back a little bit and talk about the concept of Reiki, what it is and what it does.
Okay. So Reiki, again, is energy healing, like the gateways, what we call chakras on the body. There are so many chakras, but there are 7 main ones that people go to Reiki masters to try to align that energy, to try to balance that and clear that energy. Pretty much, you clear out blockages, because your mental body and your physical body are so connected. When you're stressed out, or if you're going, we all have distractions in life. We work, we have bills, we have challenges, or at least seeming challenges, right? So sometimes we can create blockages, and with self-talk or with just circumstances. And so it's good to just clear that energy out so that we can function optimally, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically, because it's all connected. And that's what Reiki is really good for, clearing you out energetically.
And so if someone were to come to you to say, well, I want to try this Reiki stuff,
Mhm.
and you say you could do it by phone. You can do it, um, with a video conference.
Yeah.
How on earth do you do that? How is that possible?
Well, I know not at level 1, but beginning at level 2 and level 3, and level 3 is Reiki Master. But once a person is level 2, they are capable of doing distance Reiki, and that's bringing past, present, future all together. Like everything is happening at once, and um, you're pretty much sending healing energy to the person either by video or by looking at their picture and setting an appointed time, being on the phone and maybe looking at a picture of them while they're on the phone with you. Or you could just set a time, or I could set a time with someone and say, hey, at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I need you to be in a meditative state.
Mhm,
And but I would rather them be able to hear my voice in some kind of way.
mhm,
But even if not, if they are in that meditative state and open to receive the energy that I send, I can have a picture of them or visualize them and send Reiki, to clear out their chakras or to like a certain ailment if their shoulders in pain or something. And by law, we have to just say that um, Reiki produces promotes relaxation,
mhm,
so that to produce the environment for the body to heal, by law.
mhm, mhm,
But when you've experienced it, you know, you can say much more.
mm.
You know what
Okay.
I mean?
And the person on the receiving end is the one that can really, verify, what
Ab-
that experience is like for them. Okay.
Mhm.
Very
And a
good.
person can give Reiki to themselves. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really useful
Oh God, yes. Absolutely.
because you're in a very high pressure industry when we talk about music and performing, and you've done quite a bit.
I'm
Um,
burned out at times.
mm. Now, I recall that you were in a program, Motown Legends, a few years ago.
Yes,
Tell us
absolutely.
about that.
Well, my first Motown show was in November 2017, and it was only a 2-day show. But when we brought it back, Reggie Woods Productions teamed up with Prima Theater, and this was in December 2019. And it was a huge production, and Prima Theater was sold out all 6 shows.
Mm,
And we were literally acting as if we were Motown passing through town giving a 6 event concert. It was so fun. I got to sing lead for the Marvelettes. No, was it? No, Martha and the Vandellas. So
okay.
I led Heat Wave
Oh,
and Nowhere to Run To, Baby. I was one of the Supremes and I was one of the Marvelettes.
okay.
It was so fun. Oh my gosh. I will drive back up to Pennsylvania to do that show.
So that one was in Pennsylvania.
That
Okay,
was in
so
Pennsylvania. Hmm.
Lancaster. Okay, so you are performing basically, well, let's see, all up and down the East Coast.
I would say very soon, yes. But I will say New York, Pennsylvania, Maryland, and North Carolina
Okay,
so far.
uh, so far. So
Yeah.
what does the future look like? Can we talk about that, or do we have to wait?
For the most part, I'll have to let you wait.
Mm,
However, there is a really huge opportunity on the table for me,
mhm,
um, starting with this Sunday's performance in Atlanta. I've always wanted to
mm.
perform in Atlanta. I've always wanted to um, see what it's like to perform at a nightclub. Well, these are nightclub hours, so I don't know if it's an actual nightclub, but these are nightclub hours. And
Mhm.
it's in Atlanta. That is so exciting. Like, it's like everything that I've been wanting to manifest is literally manifesting. This is my
Mm.
year. I promise you. I'll keep,
Clearly.
but there are some opportunities on the table for me after Sunday, after this.
Okay. Well, we're going to have to keep up with you so we can see what that is. And you
Yes.
have everything to keep your public, your fans updated. Um, how do
Mhm.
how do we how do we find you? Where do we look to get these
I,
links?
I am most active on Instagram.
Okay.
Um, I do my best to stay as active on Facebook, but I start with Instagram, and then whatever I post on Instagram is then posted to Facebook most of the time. But Tiffany Trueblood Music is on Facebook. That's my Facebook page name. And then, of
Mhm.
course, Tiffany Trueblood is my regular profile, which I still pretty much network on. Um, but Tiffany underscore Trueblood is my Instagram account.
Mhm.
And whenever I make a post, whether it's on Facebook or Instagram, I always have my link tree. My link tree is in every Facebook post, and my link tree is in my Instagram bio. So when you click on that link tree, it'll take you to my music website, which I need to update. And it'll take you to my YouTube channel, so you can stream any videos that I post. And then it takes you to my Spotify account, my Amazon store for my music, and my Apple Music. Now, of course, I am on all music platforms, but those are the ones that I'm most familiar with. So those are the links that I placed into my link tree.
Okay, so that makes it really easy for us to find you in a lot of places.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, that is great. Um, you are known as Tiffany Trueblood, but you're also known as, let me make sure I say this correctly. I wrote it down. Um, Redtail Songbird.
Yes.
Okay, that's a very specific name, and it has, I know, real deep meaning. How did you come by
Mm.
that?
Well, I met a Cherokee Kitawa chief in the grocery store. I believe it was 2017, maybe 20. I don't know. It was something like, it wasn't, maybe 3 years ago. I'm gonna say about 3 years ago. It's been a few years.
Mhm.
And ironically enough, I saw this man in the grocery store that morning, and I don't usually go to the grocery stores before taking my daughters to school in the mornings.
Mhm.
But we needed something, so I did. And then that evening, we went back to the same grocery store, and there he was again. So we both thought it was a sign from the universe that we needed to connect. And
He thought that as well. He had that impression.
yes, and he approached me and said, I think the universe is talking, because you were here this morning and you're here again. And I'm like, I thought the same thing. Like, I'm just like, didn't I see that man here this morning? So we exchanged contact information, and we from then on have discussed. He's become like a spirit guide to me,
Mhm.
and I look at him as my chief, like my indigenous American chief, because he inspired me. Although I already knew my tribes from my family, he just inspired me to do research on my family, apply to the Cherokee Kitawa Nation, based in Georgetown, Georgia. And, I have the application. I'm still thinking about doing
Mhm.
it. But I do know that I'll be welcomed, and which is a really good thing. And so within the indigenous community, I'm known as Redtail Songbird, and Chief Windwalker is his name. He named me Redtail because of my connection, my spiritual connection to the red-tailed hawk. The red-tailed hawk is my spirit animal.
Mhm.
I'm very, very in tune with nature, which is another reason why I was led to become a herbalist. Um, but spirit animals, I look at signs from nature all the time as a sign from the universe. And the hawk has been very consistent with me since 2017, like early 2017, February, I want to say.
What does that
And
look like, though, when you say he's consistent with you?
the hawk I will see a hawk when no one else does, and I can be with like 3 or 4 people. I'm like, y'all didn't see that? And it's I could be riding on the highway and I'll see a hawk just perched, or a hawk soaring, or I mean, they're perched in so many ways, or pouncing on the ground. They do so many different things. One of them even flew in alignment with my car. And I'm like, and then I saw a couple, it was two who were very up close and personal with me, to the point where I tried to get good pictures, but I just couldn't get good pictures. They would always kind of like fly or move at the time that I tried to get pictures. And we had a really good eye-to-eye connection, to the point where the hawk even did like this to me. Like it was very intense. And I'm just like, we're both just mesmerized looking at each other, and up close and personal. And I'm like, wow, these birds are huge up close. And I was almost scared, but not scared at the same time, because it felt divine. So that's what I mean by me having a connection with the red-tailed hawk as my spirit animal. They've been very consistent in showing up and reminding me to look at the bigger picture in my life, and looking forward and moving forward, and staying focused on what I need to stay focused on. So Chief Windwalker named me Redtail. And there's a Sunsqua Wamontsut, I think that's the title of the lady's name. And I forget her indigenous name, but she's based in Long Island, New York. And with the approval of Chief Windwalker, she added Songbird to my name. So she's connected. I haven't met this lady in person, but she's connected to my business partner, Sadania Flowing Water. Sadania Flowing Water is the president of the World Alliance of Indigenous Peoples, and she made me vice president. So we do a lot of business together. And she told the lady about me and my indigenous name, Redtail. She said, we have to add Songbird to that. So that's how I got my name.
Wow, that is not something you can make up, nor is it something you can plan. So
Absolutely.
it has to be divine.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned
there, my mom also used to call me Songbird growing up. So I had to throw that in there too. She'd be so upset if I did. I used to call you Songbird too. So yeah,
well,
it was.
You were destined for that name then. Your mom recognized it first, and then the universe has given it its stamp of approval, and it's official now. It's wonderful. You mentioned the World Alliance of Indigenous Peoples, Inc. Tell us about that.
The World Alliance of Indigenous Peoples, we give Indigenous peoples from all over the world a platform to perform at our events, to showcase Indigenous people's talents, and to raise awareness of social issues that we all deal with. So it's been wonderful. It's been maybe 2 years or so since I've been working with the World Alliance. It's been a great ride, and we have so much more in store. We've grown a lot, and we have annual events. And we have our main event is a 2-day event that we're having in September, the International and Culture Festival Expo on September 11th, and the Three Sisters Native American Powwow on September 12th. So it's a 2-day event, and it's from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. on both days. We also have a couple of other concerts, one in November, one in December. And then we have a countdown that we're doing with the DJ leading up to the festival, once a month. So I would say if you want to keep up with the events of the World Alliance of Indigenous Peoples, there is a Facebook page entitled the World Alliance of Indigenous Peoples, but there's also a website, and it's the World Alliance of Indigenous People abbreviated. So it's WAIP, WAIP dash inc.org. So wape-inc.org to keep up with the events. Yeah.
Well, you are so busy. Surely you don't have time to do anything else, but you do because you mentioned you're a mom. You
Yeah.
have.
Mhm.
So, what's life like for a busy mom?
Yeah, you make time for things that are dear to you. And I know I still work full time. I work remotely from home. My full time job is still in Pennsylvania. I'm a scientist who reviews data from home.
Mhm.
And for now, but anyway, um, and so after that, I try to make an hour for my daughter. We'll play like a board game or just a game, and I'm pretty successful in doing that most of the time. And she's very gracious. I mean, she shares me with the world. Like she shares me with my job, she shares me with my businesses, and she understands. And one thing I can say, because I work from home, at least we get to see each other a lot. Most single parents can't say that. And I'm just very grateful that I'm able to be around her. And it makes it so much easier. This COVID situation makes it so much easier because of it. The thing that came out of it is that I'm full-time remotely now working.
Mhm.
And that's been wonderful. I just got to stay in shape. That's all.
But it allowed you to move from Pennsylvania
Mm-hmm.
back home and still maintain full-time employment. I just want to say something about your daughter, though. I
Mm-hmm.
have met her. She is a whirlwind of energy and love. She is a blossoming flower, and she is absolutely your number one fan. There is nobody else on the planet who can cheer for you the way, may I say her name?
Yes.
Ayera is a one human being um, cheering section all by
Yeah.
herself. She can move a whole section of people. I've never seen anything like it. She is so proud of you. She so enjoys your singing, and she goes, "That's my mommy. Did you see her?
Yeah.
Go, mommy, go." I mean, she is, and she doesn't hold back anything. She has such a good time. You may be enjoying yourself, but not quite as much as Ayera. I mean,
Exactly.
she's having a wonderful time. Now,
Yeah.
she also likes to sing.
Mm-hmm.
We noticed.
Oh yeah. She's a producer. Like, I mean, she has her own little YouTube channel. She's made movies. She's put her own songs that she's created as her soundtrack. Her toys. She calls them her children. Because
Okay.
she's the only child. So,
Yes.
but anyway, no, I'm not pregnant, but I'm just saying for now, she's the only child.
Mhm.
But she makes movies. She does a really good job. Like I actually learn a lot of techie stuff from my 9-year-old.
Mm.
These children, they walk out of the womb knowing how to work this technology. And I'm like,
Well,
yeah,
keep paying.
but she can sing, she can play the piano, she can, you know, do like gymnastics and a little bit of dancing. She's really into the fine arts.
Well, she has an excellent example. She has her mom, uh, excellent footsteps to follow, fall into, and I should say walk through. And she's creating her own as well. Um, let's talk a little bit more about your current album, and really in the sense of how the songs developed and your theme, and what that's about.
Okay. So after sharing snippets of the songs that I knew I wanted to release on the album, it was actually my sister, Sadanya Flowing Water, who I work with very closely with the World Alliance of Indigenous Peoples. I told her to put together or asked her to put together an album cover, you know, and things got busy to where I did end up doing my own album cover with a photo from my photo shoot. But she did a test album cover for me last year, and it had Awakening on there. I'm like, I like that. And she said, well, the creator gave that to me for your album because that's what comes to me whenever I hear your music. And I'm like, wow, I think I might keep that as my album name. So that's how the name of the album came about. And she gave me her blessing to use that. And when I think of it, the songs that are on it stem from old experiences of heartbreak and feeling lost, and it's not fair and I'm down. What did I do to deserve this? And then I'm into astrology because I have my own kind of spirituality, and I use astronomy or astrology. And sometimes I feel as though the energies that are going on up in the cosmos can influence us if we are not aware of what's going on. And if we haven't mastered ourselves in certain ways, those energies can influence us to kind of act out a bit. And sometimes I sit back and I observe people acting out in the energies, like in the things that are going on. At least in my head, I do, right? And people who are into astrology.
Okay, but what does that look like? If you're going to explain it to me, what does that look like? You're observing someone. What are you seeing?
So there are planets, I guess, that kind of rule certain energies, like Mercury can rule small items like your phone or your car or things like that, or communication in general. So for example, if Mercury is in retrograde, which means that it appears from our view to be moving backwards at the time for a few weeks, sometimes someone's car might break down, or someone might not get a text message that they actually texted, but it didn't go through to the other person, or, certain little gadgets just aren't acting right or break down at the time, or there's some kind of communication issue. And then there's Saturn, who's governs like discipline and things like that. So if there's any kind of squares, I'm not deep into astrology to give all of the terminology, but I just have an understanding whenever I'm staying up to date on it. So when a planet represents a certain thing, and when it comes to discipline, I'll use Saturn, for example. If Saturn is dealing with a certain kind of energy in the cosmos, like if it's paired with another planet that it is, and they're not having, either they're getting along, which is called a sextile, or they're not getting along. I think it's called a square. I'm not sure.
Okay.
So it just depends, right, on what's going on up there. It can affect behaviors. And we've all heard, when it's a full moon, people could act out, or women give birth because it can pull on the water, like the ocean water, as well as the water in our bodies. And that's been found to be true. There's a lot of people women who give birth on full moons. Some chaos that happens, a lot of it happens on full moons. And like, I guess another example would be with the discipline thing. I'm coming back to my head now. The discipline thing, I guess an example would be someone overeating, or something like that. That would be an example. And then they just can't seem to control. It's just like, oh my gosh, I need to control myself, but I'm just like, I have to get back to, it's like a struggle, but they may not realize that the influence upon them is coming from the cosmos, like a little bit, but we can always control it though. I mean, because at the end of the day, you can control yourself, regardless of what's going on up there. But I'm just simply saying that I feel that it can influence,
So
because everything is energy.
Okay, and that was going to bring me into the next question, which is you work with energy as a Reiki
Mhm,
master, and then in terms of the messaging on your songs, because you compose your own songs, correct?
mhm.
Okay,
All
so
right.
are you? Uh, so you're giving us advice and guidance. What are some of the lyrics or some of the songs that you feel have the greatest impact on your listeners?
Uh, I've gotten feedback on Wake Up, and Wake Up is my single that I released October 2020. And to me, it's really about just thinking for yourself, being courageous enough to just have your own mind, have your own thoughts, instead of allowing the news to think for you, allowing the schools to educate your children alone without you educating them, without you helping them to dig deeper and realizing truths that are not actually taught. So doing is it's to me, I wanted to encourage people to do their own research, dive deeper within themselves, um, and look at what in between the lines instead of just the lines that are given to us. You know what I mean? So and I use the very, very simple example of Christopher Columbus did not discover America.
Right.
But we're taught that in schools, right?
Hmm. Yes.
And thankfully some states are now, you know, calling Columbus Day Indigenous Peoples Day, recognizing Indigenous Peoples Day instead, because we were here. People of color were on this land with our own nations prior
Hmm.
to colonizers coming here.
Right.
But Christopher Columbus got the credit because that's what they wanted to write into the curriculum. So same thing with the news outlets. There are so many people on YouTube and who are called conspiracy theorists, but actually have research that we can go back and reference and research for ourselves that will actually prove or at least begin to make one think deeper if they would just take a look, but a lot of times the masses will take what the news gives them and that's it. It's just like, oh no, this is it because the news said so, you
Hmm.
know. And so that's what my song Wake Up is about. Please have your own minds. Please be courageous enough to think your own thoughts. Does it feel good to your spirit? You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
dive deeper. um I know that difficulties of love definitely involved crystals, herbal tinctures, and astrology in those lyrics.
Hmm.
Um, citrine is one of my favorite crystals that I have in my crystal collection. Just like herbs, crystals have their metaphysical and physical properties, and they can aid in healing when someone is doing a Reiki session. Um, they have their own energies, and citrine has solar energy in it. I don't know if you've seen citrine, but it has kind of like a yellow. Yeah. So, it's a stone of a crystal of content, being helping you to become content when you're in, like, if you're not feeling so happy. And St. John's wort is an herb that I use in tincture form if I'm feeling a little down or something. It's not addictive like some drugs maybe.
Hmm.
And so I might squirt a syringe full in my tea morning and evening. It helps with anxiety, it helps with depression and all of that. So this is really my lifestyle that I'm putting into my songs, you know?
Hmm.
And so, yeah, like I use lyrics that actually mean something to me, and thankfully people relate to it, because we all experience the same emotions.
We do, and you are being very, let's say, very honest with it, with presenting your point of view, and I think that's what comes across in the music.
Yeah.
Um, and you sing, you are classically trained, um, but you sing in a lot of different styles. Um, you do sing. I've heard you sing jazz. I know you can do, pop. You can do um, something. Reggae.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. Soul music. Just Do you have a favorite?
When it comes to writing, I will say R&B is my niche or my
Mhm.
niche, whatever, however you say it, right? Um, that's my specialty. I'll just put it that way. I've been writing R&B the longest, but I will put my R&B signature over a reggae beat. And I was actually recognized by a reggae page and entered into into like a reggae contest. And I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't even know. I was so honored though. I'm like, wow, me? They think I'm a reggae artist? Okay.
Well, why not? It's an indigenous, form of music as well. And I think maybe
Absolutely.
it's probably the genuineness, the
Mhm.
honesty that you bring to your music is, what people hear, no matter what the style is.
Yeah,
So,
I'm so honored. Classical music and music theater are also, I guess, other types of music. Because I
yeah.
feel like music theater, it just has its own unique blend of stuff. Like sometimes you might sing classical music, sometimes you might sing jazz, sometimes you may sing pop. It just depends on the show. You know what I
Mhm,
mean? So I
mhm,
think I became interested. Well, no, not interested. I think that's where it comes from. Me singing so many different styles came from music theater experience. Like, and I guess you could say I started in high school, even church, but I'm going to say high school, college, and then, of course, in my adulthood in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, while I was up there, I did a lot of music theater with Reggie Woods Productions. So I'm so grateful for all those opportunities for like 3 years in a row. I was hired repeatedly. So I got a lot of experience through Reggie Woods.
Tell us a little bit about Reggie Wood's productions.
He's awesome. Him and his
Mhm,
wife,
mhm,
Audra Woods, they have their own production company and they hire local artists in the Lancaster area, or well, not really even local because, there were some people who came from Philly, from Maryland, who would be in his productions, and he's well known. And um, Reggie has been in a lot of things. He's been on Netflix TV shows, like, what is that show name? Orange is the New Black. I don't know if it was that one. Forgive me, Reggie, if I got that wrong, but he was in a Netflix series.
okay.
And he's been in some really huge music theater plays. And I forget what his education is, if he went through, some kind of fine arts college or not, I'm not sure. But he does have his own production company. He's also a vocal coach at Creative Pursuit Studio, which is also called CPS in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Mhm.
And my vocal coach, my former vocal coach, Sarah Cope, is how I met him. And my last vocal coach, Jeanette Way, I met her through Reggie because we've been in quite a few shows together. Yeah. So he's awesome. He gives opportunities. And one time he said in one of the shows, Tiffany has become one of the staples in Reggie Woods Productions, and that's because he would rehire me over and over. And that's what he does. Like, not just me, but some of the other ladies, we would get hired over and over, and some of the guys. And of course, I would meet new people all the time through Reggie because, he had his staples, but he would also bring in new people as well. So I met so many musicians through him. Yeah.
Well, it sounds almost like a graduate level course in, music and
Yeah.
possibilities. So,
Mhm.
how do you keep yourself in shape and prepared? I mean, you've got so much going on. People are still, it's kind of locked down. Um,
Yeah.
so, what's
Well,
what's a typical day for you?
well, because the gyms never reopened their children's area, and I was a single mother up in Pennsylvania, I would take a walk outside when I could, when it was warm enough. But when it got too cold, I'm like, yeah. and I gained a few pounds, but it's okay because what I do is just eat as healthy as I can. When I feel like I'm, you know, letting myself go a bit, I'm like, okay, Tiff, you're getting a little puffy, and it's okay. Like, you know, I've learned through Reverend Burnett, I'm just choosing to experience my body in a different way, and I'm loving on it, you know, in whatever way it is, right? But I can always make that choice to drop a few if I want to, because I know what to do it. And that's what I'm actually doing now, because I'm about to be on camera a lot more, not just virtual. So, you know, virtual, you can get away with it a bit, you know, because you're only showing from here up. But now I'm about to be live again. I'm like, okay, Tiff, I'm gonna need for you to go ahead and get back down to where you know you like to be. And that way you can not be ashamed of your pictures from certain angles.
You can't take a bad picture, so don't go there.
That's self-criticism, right? Yeah.
But literally, you can't take a bad picture. It's impossible.
Oh, thank you.
You are just that gorgeous.
Sweet. Thank you.
So what are your future plans and hopes? What do you see yourself doing?
I see myself traveling at least nationally to start. I can even see myself traveling internationally and singing. And even though my job as a scientist has paid the bills all these years, and it's been doing pretty good for me and my daughter, you know, there's something bigger, and it's my purpose. And I've learned not to allow people and things to get in the way of it. Because I used to sacrifice, oh my gosh, like everything for others and then miss out on an opportunity because of it. And I decided not doing that anymore. Like, I can make time for everything and everybody that I would like to do, but I'm not going to sacrifice my hopes and dreams anymore. And that's a choice that I had to make. And that came along with self-love that I had to grow for myself. That took a long time, but it's better late than never. And so I see big things, just like I told you earlier, when I go to Atlanta this Sunday, it's going to open up more doors for me. There's already a 3-city tour on the table right after this event. And from there, I would have a huge opportunity to continue that lifestyle if I choose to, if I like the deal, I'll say.
Okay.
And I still remain an independent artist.
And that's important. And I just want to mention, with that independence comes in the rights to your own product. So
absolutely.
Okay. My girl. That's critical. Yeah. That is critical.
It is.
And I want to compliment you for being that forward in your thinking, and to be firm enough to stand in the faith that you have to have in yourself in order to take that kind of a stand. So, right on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, by the time this airs, you will have already performed in Atlanta. And so I am just saying, for the benefit of the audience, too bad we couldn't be there in person, because I'm really sure that you're going to, blow people out of their seats. You're going to do for them what you do for us when you sing in church. You make it a transformative experience, and people just have to be in your presence, and when they have that experience, they too will be stumbling over their words, trying to say, how wonderful it has been for them, because that's how it impacted all of us who had the honor and the pleasure and the gift of being with you on those Sundays when you sang.
Thank you. And OGOT, I was just coming off of another break from singing for a couple of years. And so singing at OGOT actually helped me redevelop my confidence again. the first song that I sang at OGOT was on Father's Day, and it was Angie Stone, Brother, the song Brother.
Mm.
And nobody noticed, but I had my left hand on my leg, on my thigh, and my right hand holding the microphone, and I was rocking back and forth and singing. But if I would have taken my hand off of my thigh, it was shaking.
Mm.
I was so nervous.
Oh.
And so I had to redevelop. And that's what happens when you're away from the stage for a long time, or away from your calling or your purpose. It can, you have to rebuild your confidence again. So for all of those few years, it just helps me to redevelop my confidence. Even when, even my artistry, because there were times, and I even sang with the Fruition Experience with Aaron Hill at
Yes.
one point, and seeing that performance and being with other artists who just had all this energy, like Jahiti. I'm like, I'm doing a song with that guy. He has so much energy, and I'm just all like, And so I really had to grow. It really helped me grow as an artist. All the experiences that I had at OGOT, singing on Sundays and performing with Aaron a few times, helped me develop even more as an artist, along with the music theater experience that I began to have. It helps me to learn how to sing a song in a different way if my voice is different on a certain day, after being recorded a couple of times and not hitting a note that I had previously hit during rehearsal. I'm like,
Okay.
what, whenever your voice does that, just sing it this way. You know what I mean? So development, it really helped me with development. So I'm so grateful that you all were always so loving and forgiving and non-judgmental whenever I just was up there trying to deliver a message and be a channel for the love from the universe to come through me, from my heart to yours. You all were never judgmental if I hit a wrong note or
There were
anything.
no wrong notes, and that's what you need to be real clear about. You didn't hit any wrong notes. Every note that you uttered, that you sang, was a gift, and you sent it to us that way. You really were the vessel that love flowed through, and that's really how we had no choice but to receive it that way. And that's you. I've never seen you do anything other than that. And
Thank you.
like I said, your biggest fan, Ayera, she knows it, and that's why we can hardly keep her in her seat. She's almost on the ceiling, but it's so much joy, and we're right there with her because of what you are able to do. So it is a wonderful gift. I can't say jealous. I won't even say envious, but it sure would be nice if I could be in the audience on Sunday. But I'm sure we're going to hear about it, because this is really a very special gift that you have. And
Yeah,
just want to
you.
thank you for sharing it, with the world.
I'm just grateful for everyone that I reach that is appreciative of it, and it's like a energy exchange. It's a conversation, and whenever I get feedback of how someone was felt blessed, or a burden was lifted, or they hug me in tears, it touches my heart in a way that it really encourages me to keep going, And so I'm just so grateful for everybody who ever showed me support and love, That's why I continue to do it.
Well, you give it and you get it back. So
Yeah.
you have given it in abundance, and we thank you for that. Well, I think we've kind of come to the end. Is there anything you'd like to add before we say adios?
I can't think of anything. I'm just grateful to you for having me on your platform. And it's great seeing you again. And I just affirm that everyone who views this will be blessed with blissfulness, abundance, peace, perfect health, prosperity, all the good from the universe, for supporting my sister Emma.
For supporting you. And
Yeah,
this
for
this
supporting
is
all of us. Yes.
yeah, for supporting all of us, because this is really our mission. However, we find our way to express it. So
Hmm.
thank you
Absolutely.
again. Give
Yes.
her a big hug for me, and we miss her. The
Yes.
the,
I
the
sure
twink,
will.
yeah, my little Twinkies are growing up now too, and they miss seeing her, and they
Mhm.
because everybody's separated now. So
Yeah, we'll have to come visit when things get a little better.
oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
we'll be waiting. Be waiting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, have a wonderful evening. Thank you again.
You
Many
do the same.
blessings. Many blessings to you, and
Yes.
peace and love.
Peace
See
and
you.
love. Light.
Bye. See you soon.
All righty.
Bye bye.